Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free through the tireless efforts of Dr. Michael and Jeannie Rice on the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the two words that say Start Here in the upper left-hand corner, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of the book contains a narrative description and explanation of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet, and it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 20 years now to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional experiences I have into part of the infallible guidance system that each and every one of us has been given. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click the link, download it, print it off, copy it as often as you'd like, and use it over and over again absolutely free. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have been stepped through the worksheet process. And if you choose to listen to them even repeatedly, they can serve as a powerful tutorial for you to help you get maximum benefit from these tools in the shortest amount of time possible. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. And if you do that before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. If you tap on that, it will let you download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet. It contains an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and it contains a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And we hope people do all of that soon and often, primarily because it tends to improve the quality of people's lives the more they actively apply these tools in their lives. And secondarily, because it tends to prompt comments, questions, answers, and testimonials. If you have any of those to share with us, we'd greatly appreciate you doing so. You can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And or you could email Jeannie at jeanie@whyagain.org. That's whyagain.org. And if we get a question or a comment from you in an email, we'll address it on the internet show, and then as time allows, send you a notification about what day and time that occurred, so you can listen back to the archives for your feedback or input. And we greatly appreciate whenever anybody does that, because it makes it infinitely easier for us to live into our intention with this work. The intention we have with this work is to be of service, and that's just infinitely easier to do when we know how these things are landing for you. If you have the capacity to join us live, you can go to Zoom, use one of their phone numbers, or you can open up a browser window and then simply enter the meeting ID number 853-2357-4173. That's 853-2357-4173. And you can either listen in or participate with audio or type into the chat room or do the full Monty, as they say, and show your picture and interact virtually, as they say. So, how can we support you today? What's on your mind? What's been resonating with you from the work we've been doing, the readings from the Q&A section of A Walk in the Physical, a book by Christian Sundberg, and some of the comments and questions that people have been kind enough to grace us with these past few days. How can we support you? What's on your mind? We had a support group last night, and we watched the one of the 5 files that came as part of a Talks in the Pines package from Guy Finley's final presentation in his Merland, Oregon homestead. And then we had discussion, and we had somebody do a worksheet, and it's always fascinating to me when people are willing to share doing a worksheet. It's a benefit to everyone who gets to hear. Um, and it's also fascinating to me how you might call it this perfectionistic urge people have can work its way into a process like the reality management worksheet, where all you have to do is just fill in the form, right? Answer you might call them questions, but fill in the blanks on this worksheet and just trust the process. There's not a whole lot of hard intellectual, rational work that has to be done here, because the critical power in the worksheet process is derived from the fact that we're stepping outside of that conscious logical realm. We're asking, we're recognizing what we're doing to our experiential process when we engage that conscious logical mind, but we're also taking a look at it from another perspective, hopefully one that can shine a light for us on how the misuse of our logic and mind energy is actually the thing creating the pain, fear, or sadness that we say we don't want. And if we can assist you in doing that, then if you've made our day, right? That's the essence of this work, is to be able to assist people in their mastery of the use of these tools, the introduction to them in the beginning, and then the awareness of how much it creates empowerment and mastery. And again, the way of mastery would remind us that mastery has nothing to do with being in control of this, that, or the other thing. Mastery has to do with mastering the art of always being a perpetually avid student, is the way I would have phrased it in the past. It was just one of those many things that hit me as I was going through the way of mastery over and over and over again, is that it took me years to read through the entire book. And I can't even tell you how many years, because it was probably 10 or 15 before I actually read through the book the first time, because I had read so many times through the first 12 lessons before I even started the second 12 lessons. And there were so many times when I'd get about halfway through the second book of 12 lessons, and I would get internally prompted to go back and start again at the beginning. And I would start listening to lessons 1, 2, and 3 again. So for quite a number of years, 15 or so at least, I never read all the way through to the end of the book because I didn't feel a need. There wasn't something missing that I was searching for. I was getting such lovely benefit by simply practicing with the exercises that had already been offered. And the exercises are all about the awareness of the fact that you're the one creating your experience of life moment to moment. And my summary statement for that is that I'd like to tell you 2 things about yourself you may or may not know. The first thing is you have the infinite capacity to choose the focus of your conscious awareness in each new present moment. That's the first thing we'd like to have you know. Start observing for yourself and keep it active in your life as an observation. That'll put you in good stead. And the second thing we'd like to have you observe about yourself is that it is the focus and the choice of the focus of your conscious awareness in each new present moment that actually creates your experience of life. And so this means you are a very powerful creator. You are actively creating your experience of life day in and day out, regardless of what the outside events in life seem to be bringing you. You're the one that creates their impact on you. I have watched people who spill a few coffee grounds and they launch into a tirade either against themselves or somebody else, or the layout of their kitchen, or the atmospheric pressure at the time that caused the misalignment of this and that, which resulted in this horrible, tragic consequence of spilled coffee grounds. And they just fly into a rage, or they fly into a panic, or they fly into an implosive kind of a self-ridicule. But I've also seen people who've I've been one who's lived through a serious car accident and never gone to the swearing, name calling, raging, screaming at life that it's going in the wrong direction. And if you can give yourself permission to question everything you think you know and learn some new skills and tools and start applying them in your life, you will literally create a different experience of life for yourself. And if you're doing that with your eyes open and the full understanding of your own sense of agency as you do it, you might start choosing very differently. You have always been creating your experience of life. You have not always known that that's what's been happening. I love the way that this is written of in a book. And the people that started the Journey's Dream experience were completely motivated to do that by exposure to Dr. Michael Rice's work and how powerful that work is for transforming lives for the better. And they decided that there's too much talk about Yeshua or spirituality or God or whatever in what they had heard from Dr. Michael Rice as Michael Rice does his seminars and lectures, etc. And so they decided they needed to rewrite the system that Dr. Michael Rice came up with. And so they spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and they created what they call the Optimal Being program. And in the middle of that, as things were flying around and they were getting connected to other professionals and expanding their influence networks, etc., they came across some books by another group who was trying to do the same thing. They were trying to take these really powerful, practical, spiritual solutions to things and take it into the corporate realm. And I'm flipping through my book here trying to come up with the name of the group and the title. We've talked about it before. They have a couple really good books that are talking about the same basic experiences that we talk about here on Mind Shifters Radio and in the support groups. And the group is called the Arbinger Institute. And the book is titled Leadership and Self-Deception. And as I was just saying, that the idea that you're the one creating your experience of life may be an idea you've never even considered before. And if you are actually the one who's creating your experience of life, but you don't know that, it means you're doing things, actively doing things that are creating the experiences you don't like in your life today. And creating your experience, meaning you're creating how you are interpreting and responding to whatever life brings to you. And if you don't understand how what you're doing is bringing on the pain that you're in, then you're what we call really stuck. Years ago, I came up with this thing. I said, my new definition for being stuck is anytime I have a negative thought or emotion active in my mind. That's my new definition for being stuck. My new definition for being hopelessly stuck is anytime I'm arguing for my need to be right when I have negative thoughts going in my mind or negative emotions experienced in my system. So I'm stuck if I have a negative thought or emotion going, and yet I'm only a little bit stuck if I have a negative thought or emotion going. If I start arguing that my negative thoughts or emotions are right, now I'm hopelessly stuck. If I wake up and realize that I'm an active participant in the process that's creating the very thing I say I don't want, now I've got untold options opening before me. So from the preface to the book, Leadership and Self-Deception, there's a little bit of a writing that talks about this. And it says, for too long, the issue of self-deception has been the realm of deep-thinking philosophers, academics, and scholars who've been working on the central questions of the human sciences. The public remains generally unaware of the issue. That would be fine, except that self-deception is so pervasive that it touches every aspect of life. And here they put the word touches in quotes, and they say, touches is perhaps too gentle a word to describe its influence. Self-deception actually determines one's experience in every aspect of life. The extent to which it does that, and in particular, the extent of the nature of one's influence on and experience of others, that's the subject of this book. How powerfully self-deception creates your experience of life and your experience of the people around you, that's the subject of this book. And then it says, to give you an idea of what's at stake, consider the following analogy. There's an infant who's learning how to crawl. She begins by pushing herself backwards around the house. Backing herself around, she eventually gets lodged beneath the furniture. Once there, she thrashes about, crying and banging her little head against the sides and the undersides of the furniture pieces. She is stuck, and she hates it. So she does the only thing she can think of to get herself out. She pushes even harder, which only worsens her problem. She is now more stuck than ever. If this infant could talk, she would blame the furniture for her troubles. After all, she's doing everything she can think of. The problem can't possibly be hers. But of course, the problem is hers, even though she can't see it. While it's true that she's doing everything she can think of, the problem is precisely how she can't see how she's the problem. Having the problem she has nothing she can think of will be a solution. Self-deception is like this. It blinds us to the true causes of problems. And once we're blind, all of the, quote, solutions, close quotes, that we can think of will actually make matters worse. So whether at home or at work, self-deception obscures our view of others and our circumstances. And self-deception inhibits our ability to make wise and helpful decisions. To that extent, and to whatever extent we are self-deceived, both our happiness and our leadership are undermined at every turn. And it's not because of the furniture. We've written this book to educate people about a solution to this most central problem. Our experience in teaching about self-deception and its solution is that people find this knowledge liberating. It sharpens vision, it reduces feelings of conflict, it enlivens the desire for teamwork, it redoubles accountability, it magnifies the capacity to achieve results, and it deepens satisfaction and happiness. This is true whether we're sharing these ideas with corporate executives in New York, governmental leaders in Beijing, community activists on the West Bank, or parenting groups in Brazil. Members of every culture participate to one degree or another in their own individual and cultural self-deceptions. The discovery of a way out of those self-deceptions is the discovery of hope and the birth of new possibilities and lasting solutions. This book was originally published in 2000, new editions in 2002 and 2010. So, what are you doing? What are you becoming aware of as you listen to Mind Shifters Radio or as you attend a support group? What are you learning about how you're the one creating whatever upset you're experiencing in any given day and at any given moment? What are you learning about that you might share with us? How has it been useful to go through uh, the book A Walk in the Physical and please, here's another call for you to write down questions you might have that you would want to ask Christian Sundberg, because, God willing and the creek don't rise, as my grandma would say, he should be here to talk with us on Friday, August 8th for the entire hour. So I almost just went into autopilot and recited a call-in number, but we don't have a call-in number. We do have a meeting ID number of 853-2357-4173. So if you're near a computer, you can go to zoom.us and figure out one of their phone numbers that you can call, or you can just open up a browser window and enter that meeting ID and we can be having a conversation. How can we support you? What is on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Celinda.
Sounds like Celinda, yes.
I have a lot on my mind this morning. Yesterday's support group was fantastic, and I've been doing a lot of ruminating as a result of it. And it came on an argument that Larry and I had driving home, and I bingoed out on every point of whatever I understood of Guy Finley's talk last night, and then the worksheet that was done and everybody's responses. and faith, willingness to go through that. And I just woke up this morning and remembered that in around 1970, and I'm not sure I have the title correctly, there was a book that came out, something like The Primal Scream or something like that. Are you familiar with anything like that?
Well, yeah, I'm familiar with primal scream therapy and the rush of the fad that it was for a while.
Right. Well, what it did, I never read the book, but the title must have stuck with me, obviously. And I woke up this morning and I realized that all of our issues come out of a primal scream. And I call it the scream of having my own way, the first temper tantrum, or the scream of terror of the monster in the closet. And I realized how much that is involved, all of that is involved with control and power person dynamics. And I am very grateful that now at least I am recognizing, even if it's after the fact, that I am the cause of my own issues. And an interesting point came out because my my daughter-in-law and brother, my stepson, sorry, I'll get this correct. My daughter-in-law and stepson had serious issues where they almost got divorced, and they ended up in therapy. And yesterday, in the course of conversation, my husband said, maybe you ought to go, I guess he said, maybe we ought to go to a therapist to see if we can resolve this ongoing issue that's been going on forever in our relationship. And I didn't think about it, but I woke up this morning and said, I've been in therapy for 5 years. And it's lovely. And I don't have to be fixed by going to a therapist, and I don't have to fix Larry by going to a therapist. I'm just going to go to my therapist and keep doing my work. But I wanted to share that all with you because it's very profound how each one of us finds the way. And I realized yesterday from listening to the worksheet that I have a severe test anxiety. And when I feel I must put my pen to paper, I freeze up. Because everything for me, have to wise, came out of being wrong and the fear of punishment. And I had to take all of these tests, jump through all of these hurdles. And if I got one question wrong in a 100-question test, I was a failure. I didn't measure up. I wasn't perfect. And so, in fact, in high school, my physical education class, during the track training we had, I never once jumped over a hurdle, which I thought was really fascinating, that I would run up to the hurdle and I would stop. And no matter what the teacher tried, I never jumped over a hurdle. And so I thought I'd share that with you for whatever that meant.
It means fear to me. I'm not sure specifically what fear you were holding, but it also means a certain level of strength of will and character that probably weren't getting appreciated by your coach.
That's interesting that you say that, because yesterday in our conversation, I said, we're very powerful co-creative beings. We are very powerful and we co-create. Everything is co-created. And I finally said to Larry, I said, my interrupting is no more of a disturbance for our relationship than your profound irritation because you insist that I'm wrong for interrupting, no matter what it is, even if it's a short, yes, I agree with you. I'll immediately get, you're interrupting me, and really, really angry. And so I just said that. I said, I wasn't trying to blame or anything. I just was trying to, in very inadequate ways, to say, let's fix the problem in light of the outcome that we've had. And then I just shut up. Because I am part of the problem. I'm 50% of the equation. This is the situation that we got into. So that I am standing up for myself. And because I'm standing up for myself and saying, I'm not going to do this. I feel unsafe. So,
yeah, it takes a significant strength of character to stand up to your coach or your parent or your boss when your conscience goes in a different direction than whatever it is they're telling you they want you to do.
especially when you doubt yourself because you've been told you've been wrong, and it's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. And so I end up doing, that's my self-punishment. Oh, it must be my fault. If it weren't my fault, I'd be perfect. Or if I were perfect, it wouldn't be my fault. It's power person dynamics. And I have observed that when people feel they hold the power, they are aggressive. They'll be hostile. If people feel they don't hold the power, they will withdraw and run away and be terrorized. And that's the game Larry and I've played for 40 years, and I'm not playing this anymore. And it's a real challenge because I'll find myself controlling back. Well, reactivity, being reactive. Yeah. And if I feel cornered, I will be a predator. If I feel like I have a way to escape, I'll be prey. It's really interesting. It's very fascinating.
Well, so we just have to recommend that you give yourself permission to use the tools, the reality management worksheet, etc., to dismantle any sense that you need to be either predator or prey, and find a way to restore yourself to this awareness they keep talking about in this work of your newborn essence as love, which has never been taken from you. It can't ever be chipped, dented, rusted, faded, or broken in any way. It's always there. You've never been without your human life. Michael Rice talks about it in certain ways as though you're without your human life when you're not consciously, actively aware. But the fact of the matter is, you can't ever be separated from your source. You can create the illusion of separation. We're all living in that. But the good news is you can't ever be separated from that which created you. And you're not being healed alone. Whenever there's a healing, it's a family affair kind of thing. So fear not, fear not, fear not, and slow down, slow down, slow down. Tap into being rather than the insistence on the maniacal insistence on doing everything just the right way.
Yes.
And watch what
And
happens.
you just gave me a gift, because I have an innate sense that on one level of scale, we all need permission from each other in some sort of acceptance and allowance and appreciation. And the gift you just gave to me was, again, stepping out of black and white. the thought that flashed through my brain when you said we're never separated was that I am a human regardless of whether I'm unconscious or conscious, because in a matter of scale, I am never separated. It's a delusion on my part. So I really think it's this and that. This and you just helped me to resolve an issue I had, which is in a certain way is an act of perfection. Doesn't depend on what we do or how conscious we are. It depends on the matter of scale. And so I'm human because I was created human. And it's just the difference of I'm an asleep human or I'm an awake human. And that gives me such grace because I can walk through the middle.
Yeah, and you're human even if the people that are around you think you interrupt them a lot.
Thank you.
I don't know what the tears are
That's
for, but I encourage
beautiful.
you to keep breathing.
I'm doing my best. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
So what just got stirred up for you?
Gratitude for someone acknowledging my beauty. It's so precious, and I'm finding it happening little by little here and there. That lady that I met, the British lady, that wanted to see my pictures from the past because she just loved my energy and what you just said. And our little friend in New Mexico who bought our house, the little Hispanic guy, who was homeless, and we rented our cottage to him, and he couldn't pay the rent. And when we moved to Oregon, we let him be the caretaker, and eventually we sold him the house for a pittance of what we paid for it by building it. And the gratitude he feels and the ministry he's doing. And he just sent a little message to Larry, who sent a YouTube video, since I am now a YouTube star by accident. Thanks to the hosts of our farm, they have a Facebook page. And he said, "Oh, Celinda is so beautiful. We could do a worksheet on that."
What is the stirring in you with these tears when you say that someone has reported that Celinda is so beautiful? What's getting stirred up in you that goes with the tears?
Relief to be able to let go of some feeling of worthlessness that I felt, courage that now maybe I can stand up for myself in gentle ways without fighting back or without having to try to control someone else's behavior towards me.
Okay, so there's a lot of thoughts there. What's the emotion?
Relief and gratitude.
So if you were saying we could do a worksheet on that, what are you imagining you would need to do a worksheet on? Why
My
would you
worthless
need to do a worksheet around the tears that are coming up of gratitude?
for releasing my deep, deep held belief that I'm inherently wrong and worthless, that I have to do and earn my right to breathe.
So somehow or another, you jumped from a compliment to the negative part of your mind that wants to fight that compliment, argue with that compliment.
Right, right,
Okay.
because I must be wrong.
Right. And so you've got a whole boatload of negative self-talk, and you could use any one of those that comes to the surface as your thought that's generating your negative emotion here, that's generating your sadness or your hurt or your frustration.
Yeah, my pain.
And so, would you just put the word pain as your emotion for this worksheet? Or would you choose anger or frustration or sadness or hurt? What emotion would you choose as the target for this worksheet?
Probably self-hate.
Okay, so hatred. And what thought would
Uh-huh.
you use to generate self-hatred?
I must be a really bad person to deserve all this punishment.
Oh, what punishment?
The anger resulted in some sort of punishment, withdrawal or shunning, but it was basically being attacked, verbally and emotionally, being told how wrong I was, how selfish I was, how inconsiderate I was, all of those verbal gaslighting, I guess you would call it.
All right, so you've got your emotion and you've got your thought that's creating it. And so the goal is going to have to be for yourself. So what would the goal be that you would choose for this worksheet?
To be the goal. The goal I have
The goal
to
right
be
now that's not getting met, that's resulting in all of this anger and upset.
To be accepted and allowed to be who I am.
All right, so your goal is for yourself to love and accept yourself for who you are.
Regardless of how other people think about me. And what I know to be true for me.
Okay, well, you don't need
How
that
do we
second
make
part of
that
it
into
because that's a negative thought, but you can use that your goal for yourself is to be lovingly accepting of yourself and to understand your value.
Yes. Beautiful.
And then you can do that worksheet and you can do the forgiveness pattern. It's available on the mindshiftersacademy.org website. And there's even the 4-minute audio of me just reciting that forgiveness pattern. So you can do it as though you've got a live coach there by just hitting the play button on that audio file. And that's on mindshiftersacademy.org website under the educational materials page. And we're talking about doing the forgiveness pattern as you do this worksheet release.
Okay. Would you be so kind as to tell me that my emotion is self-hatred, and what is my thought?
Your thought
Because
is
I do.
you're such a bad person that you deserve all of this punishment.
I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, the thought you're using to create your self-hatred is, I'm such a bad person, I deserve all of this punishment.
Okay, and then my goal would be
To be able to love, accept, and appreciate yourself just as you are. Make sense?
and I think you said love, accept, and appreciate myself and my value.
Just as you are. To love,
Just as
accept,
I
and
am.
appreciate yourself just as you are.
Okay,
That's
I
the
got
goal.
that.
If you could do that, then you wouldn't be needing this worksheet in the first place. It's a goal that is that pie in the sky, utopian, magic wand waving that could take away all the problems. Well, this specific goal, if we could wave a magic wand and get you to love and appreciate and accept yourself just as you are, would wipe out any need for a worksheet around this. You wouldn't be filled with thoughts of self-loathing and hatred. And so
Perfect. And one
that's
other
how we
thought.
know it's a good goal for this worksheet, is that it answers all the needs that are open.
Perfect. And the reason I like your mental short form and that I turned it into a written short form is something that I noticed that came up in the worksheet that was done in the support group last night. I really resonated with this other person's process. For me, it's like a post-traumatic stress response. When I feel I'm being attacked or told I'm wrong, that what happens is I get very confused and very lost, because it's like I am so under focused. I don't want to focus on what's in front of me, and I'm desperately trying to scan my awareness, my field, to find out how to answer the situation or how to escape the situation. And I get totally lost and under focus because I'm just out there. I remember the gentleman who said that all over focus is a compensation for under focus, because I do both. And so I thought I would share that with you. I totally understood when the person said, wait a minute, I'm lost. I don't remember what you just said, because I just did this with you as I don't remember. I'll blank out. I get so confused that my brain shuts down. Everything shuts down. My vision shuts down. My hearing shuts down. My understanding shuts down. My brain shuts down. So I think that's very helpful. I'm doing my best to focus on you when my cat is screaming. So I hope you can focus.
Well, so just stick with this. Here's the idea that when you have all of that shut down going on, there's another part of you that can step back and witness it. And just the part of you that steps back and witnesses, geez, I'm shutting down, can also go into parent protection mode and comfort and nurture and support the younger, scared versions of you that are prompting this sensation of being overwhelmed and shut down. And so you can step back and just coach yourself. Oh, I heard that shutdown thing. Okay, I've had this before. I know how this works. We'll get through this. It's okay. Just time to breathe, time to relax. Maybe a worksheet will come to me later, but for now, I'm just going to soften and breathe because this shutdown thing simply means there's a part of me that's arguing against my better judgment.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
like
I'm
I've been
never I'm
talking
never
about
upset
that.
for the reason I think I am. So whatever your mind is telling you is the reason that you're overwhelmed and upset, and it's not the truth. So your adult conscious mind can witness that you're spinning or you're shutting down, and you can put more of the focus of your awareness back in that observer part of your mind and sit there and watch and coach with compassion and empathy the younger parts of yourself that are feeling so overwhelmed, so scared, so shut down, or they're feeling as though shutting down is the only safe thing to do here.
And that happens so much when I'm in a situation where I have my inner voice saying one thing and the outer stuff is saying another thing, and I'm right caught between two different directions. I don't even know how to put it into words, Dr.
Well,
Tim.
it's competing goals, Michael would say, and you put it into words just fine. So there it is. You've got the idea that you can step back and recognize that you must have a conflict going inside of you if you're feeling overwhelmed, and it's okay to just soften and breathe and step back from it. Because, from another vantage point, you can ask the question, a really important question, who am I arguing with in here? Right? Is there more than one person in me? And
Yes.
at one level of scale, the answer is no. And at another level of scale, the answer is yes, right? And so we're encouraging you to step into the leadership role, which you can do quite nicely, and be a leader and comfort and nurture and support the younger versions of yourself that are feeling overwhelmed.
I must say, when I said that during our argument about we are co-creative, I'm co-creative, I'm complete, yeah, I really felt like I had stepped into my power by saying that. I just, that felt really good. And it's, the argument stopped right there. By the way, I was driving the car in city traffic, and we have a stick shift, and I'm dealing with driving the car and having an argument and trying to stay focused on what was important, getting us home in one piece. It was pretty challenging.
I bet.
So I'll pat myself on the back for that one.
I'll join you in
And
that.
thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you so much. I shall do that worksheet, and I'll deliver at the support group tomorrow night.
All right. All right. Wonderful. Anything else we can support you with today?
No, you've been so graceful and so grateful, and thank you for that article that book about the leadership and self-deception, because that would be one that might be of interest to Larry, where he just totally shuts off with my Aramaic gospel stuff. He supports me and allows me, doesn't even allow me, accepts and allows and encourages me to listen. He'll remind me that I've forgotten about the support group or something, or the radio show, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So this might be something that I could read.
Yeah, that one. And the other one is Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Shamin that I talked about before. It was such a powerful book and so much similarity to what I teach within my caseload as a psychologist and what we talk about here on Mind Shifters Radio and in the support groups, that it was so so much like coming home that as soon as I finished it, I ordered a copy for each of my sons and just sent them a note and
Cool.
said, here's the idea that the prophet is never welcomed in his own town, but you might hear some of the ideas that I've talked to you about for decades resonated in this book in a way that is easier for you to implement or discuss. Or,
How do you spell the gentleman's name?
well, his first name
Husband
is
and Kelly.
Shirzad, Shirzad,
Okay.
Shirzad, and his last name is Shamine, Chamine, Chamine.
Boy, sounds Middle Eastern French. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love the Middle East. I love the fact that it's in turmoil. It's so much a reflection of our inner Middle East. I just it's the between zone. I love it. I mean, I don't like what's going on. I'm not saying that, but I love the metaphor. I just, yeah, beautiful, wonderful. Thank you. This has
All right.
been a real blessing.
You're very welcome and deserving. I'll let you go. I'll mute you and you can stick around or come back for the Michael and Jeannie hour, which will start shortly. I'll just remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and